What have you made of today? We're sitting here, we're sort of ruminating on what today has taught us. What is the sort of takeaway message? People are watching around the world, they're trying to fathom British politics. What message would you send to them and say, this is the direction of travel?
I think the most important thing to understand about today is that the deal that Theresa May has come back with will not get through Parliament. That's the only thing that matters. Parliament will also not countenance no deal, so no deal is not going to happen. The only alternative for Britain now, in my view, and I think in a growing number of politicians across the political spectrum, is we can only resolve this by having another referendum, putting the decision back to the people in the people's vote.
So that's the mechanism by which we end up with no Brexit. You think that we don't go to a general election, it's more likely that we end up with a referendum?
Well, I would like there to be a general election. I'm a Labour politician. I want to see a Labour government so we can address some of the big problems this country is facing. But we can only have a general election in this country if Conservative MPs vote for one under the Fixed Term Parliament Act, and that means that that's not going to happen because Tory MPs won't vote for a general election. So the only alternative in those circumstances is going to be another referendum and giving this decision back to the people in a people's vote.
Let's talk a little bit about this deal. Is it a bad deal? In some ways, one could argue that it looks quite similar to the deal that the Labour Party proposed only a few months back.
No, not at all, because it doesn't keep us in a customs union permanently, which is our policy. It doesn't keep us close to the single market permanently, which we think is absolutely essential if we're going to minimise the economic damage from Brexit. So it doesn't solve the Northern Ireland border issue. And it's the worst of both worlds. I think, as Joe Johnson, the brother of Boris Johnson, our former Foreign Secretary, said, it gives us a choice between vassalage on the one hand and chaos on the other. And that's not a choice that parliamentarians here are willing to accept. And that's why I think we're heading for another referendum.
There is the possibility that we see a leadership change within the Conservative Party. How would that change the political narrative here? How would that change the option that you are looking at?
It wouldn't change it at all. And I have to say, the idea that what the country needs at this moment of peril and crisis in our country is a Tory leadership election. Nothing will change the arithmetic in the House of Commons. The only thing that matters at the moment is the arithmetic in the House of... We can put anyone in there. Jacob Rees-Mogg, Boris Johnson. That won't change the simple fact that they are not going to be able to get a deal like this, and certainly not a hard Brexit or a no-deal Brexit through Parliament.
Do you think the DUP-Tory party relationship is now over?
I don't know. I mean, you'll have to ask the DUP and the Tory party that. I mean, it seems extraordinary to me that the DUP signed up to this confidence and supply arrangement with the government on condition that it supports May's Brexit deal and is now pulling the plug on it at this stage and will result in, I hope, in no Brexit at all, which is great.
Why won't the Labour leadership support the idea that the UK stays within the EU? Why, at the moment, does Jeremy Corbyn still not take the Labour Party down that road? And do you think that will now change as a result of
I think that's where we'll end up. But we have a very clear policy which was agreed unanimously at our conference that we will oppose this deal, call for a general election when the deal falls, and if there's not a general election, then come in behind a people's vote and campaign to stay in the European Union.
That's quite a significant sort of change, though, from Jeremy himself, isn't it?
No, because Jeremy is signed up to that policy. It's a policy that the whole of the shadow cabinet is signed up to. It was agreed unanimously at our party conference. That is our policy, and that's what will happen.
Just a question that I've been asking many MPs today. The financial markets today have taken a tumble. Utilities are down, banks are down, maybe on the idea that Jeremy Corbyn is the next Prime Minister, but sterling's down as well. Gilt yields have fallen fairly sharply. How much of that financial market action and concerns globally about what is happening here resonates in there?
I think once the financial markets understand that the alternative to Mrs May's deal is not no deal, but the alternative is another referendum and staying in the European Union, I think those markets will recover and recover very well.